Our story starts in a small village during the ancient builder era of Minecraft. Here, a baby villager named Norman is born. His parents abandoned him at a young age to go join the rest of the ancient builders, and Norman was left on his own in the village. This meant that his parents couldn't get him educated. The other children bullied him for this, so he spent most of his time alone in the library reading. He particularly liked underdog stories and legends of epic conquerors. The ancient builders frequently visited the village to show off their latest discoveries and creations. This would go on for a few years until disaster struck. News of a plague with an unknown origin began to emerge, and it would turn the infected into zombies. This was the turning point that led to the demise of the ancient builders, and the world began a slow transition into a new era, the undead era. It became common practice for villagers to run inside their homes once the sun set, and the multiple villagers began to isolate themselves. This was a problem for Norman, who was now being kicked out of the library each night because of the zombie plague panic. Now, the only spot he could visit where he could be alone was the beach. Things after this remained the same for some time, until Norman was an adult. This was when he had his first direct encounter with a zombie, which was a drowned. After a short skirmish, Norman manages to get the best of the drowned because of his quick thinking. Drowned dropped a nautilus shell, which Norman picked up. Soon after, a villager with a blue hood approaches Norman. This villager lost his home to the villager outbreak, and is now trying to make enough money to scrape by trading random items he finds in the wilderness. The homeless villager sees the nautilus shell in Norman's arms and asks him if he is willing to trade it. The homeless villager tells Norman that he's willing to pay 2 emeralds for the nautilus shell, and will pay more later. Norman immediately accepts, because he's never seen this much money in his entire life. He thanks the homeless villager and immediately goes on the hunt for more nautilus shells. He purchases a fishing rod using his newly acquired emeralds and fishes for more shells on the beach. He only manages to get fish and encounters a few more drowned, who he manages to defeat. He sells half of the fish he makes to the fisherman and eats the rest. When he sells his fish to the fisherman mentions how it is cheaper to buy the fish in bulk. This is an important detail for later. This method doesn't bring him as much emeralds as he would have hoped, so he waits for the homeless villager to come back and sees if he has his emeralds waiting for him. Once the homeless villager does come back, he tells Norman that he doesn't have enough money to pay him back for the nautilus shell. Norman, now desperate for emeralds, gets mad at this. At this moment, a drowned emerges from the beach behind the homeless villager and goes to attack him. Because Norman is mad about the emeralds, he decides not to warn the homeless villager. The homeless villager is then attacked and killed by the drowned. Norman, now panicked and full of regret, steals the homeless villager's outfit, items and llamas and leaves the village. This attack makes the homeless villager the first ever zombified villager. The rest of the village decides to put the zombified homeless villager into a shaded building in hopes of a cure. Norman continues to run away from the village, questioning what he has just done. But then he realizes that he has just given himself a massive opportunity here, and he starts thinking of ways that he can maximize his profits. He considers what the fisherman said about buying in bulk. Using this information, he comes up with a plan. He decides he's going to buy a bunch of items in bulk, such as weapons, armor, and potions. These items will be in higher demand due to the panic of the zombie plague. He will then give all of these items to wandering traders for them to sell. These guys were inspired by the homeless villager. He goes back to the village and puts his plan to action. The system turns out to be a huge success, and it makes him one of the most powerful villagers in the village. He doesn't stop there though. He invests in some more trades and gets more traders. There was one problem with this system, however. The wandering traders kept getting attacked at night by zombies, and they could not bring any profits back to the village. Norman decides to pay the priest to make a potion that could stop the zombies from attacking the traders. In a few weeks' time, the priest comes up with the invisibility potion. This didn't stop the problem completely, but it was good enough for the time being. This was crucial in expanding Norman's influence to other villagers. If you think things are going pretty well for Norman, well, think again, because things are about to get worse. A lot worse.